KTL and AC1 Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1 Game Day is on the air. Presented by Super Chevy. See your Super Chevy dealers of Baton Rouge. It's time to talk LSU football on the flagship home of the Tigers. Call 225-499-9898. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Now, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon.
A showcase for Jaden Daniels. And a big win for the Tigers as LSU routs Georgia State 56-14. Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hannegriff, along with former Tiger Richard Dixon. The game was not supposed to be particularly competitive. According to the odds makers, LSU was a massive favorite in this game, and LSU won the game by a 42-point margin. So that checked out. LSU's season-long goals were off the table, so this game was really about what would Jaden Daniels do for an encore to one of the most electrifying performances we've ever seen last week against Florida. And the answer was he would come pretty close to topping it. Daniels' 8 touchdowns tonight tied a school record set by Joe Burrow. He also became the 6th quarterback in NCAA history to go over 3,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing in a game. Malik Neighbors had a monster game as well with 8 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Daniels is chasing the Heisman. Neighbors is chasing the Biletnikoff. So let's look at it from that standpoint, because I think that's what had everybody's attention. Richard, the outcome of this game was never really in doubt. Georgia State scored a couple of touchdowns early. Certainly they had more yards in the first half than they should have against an LSU defense, but this is not a normal LSU defense, not a normal LSU offense either. But they piled up right at 250 yards. I think it was 245 in the first half. This defense just is what it is. We will watch them play for one more week. They'll put some stuff in for the bowl game, and then we'll move into the offseason and see what they can do about fixing that mess. That wasn't going to change, and it's not going to change between now and next week. So this game really was about what it was Daniels going to do. And this was, I can't use any other word than a showcase. LSU is operating at an offensive efficiency that I don't know that I've ever seen over the last game and a half. They've scored a touchdown every time they've had the ball. Since the end of the first half 13. Against Florida, 13 drives, 13 touchdowns, not counting the end of the game kneel downs. That's perfect. What else could you possibly do? Every time Daniels handled the football, he made a play. Sometimes with his feet, sometimes with his arm. Sometimes it looked like he was back there trying to decide, what do I want to do this time? He's simply toying with the competition at this level, over the last several weeks, over the last couple weeks anyway. And his numbers are unmistakably Heisman worthy. Now, is he going to win the Heisman? Well, the odds have certainly tightened up a little bit since the beginning of the day today. Bo Nix went out. He is the favorite. He's at, depending on where you're shopping right now, somewhere between plus 110 and plus 120. And Daniels is, a little bit higher than that, plus 130 or so. So basically you've got almost a dead heat. Nix had a monster day. Oregon routed Arizona State, and Nix threw 6 touchdown passes in the first half. So that was a foregone conclusion that they were going to win. Oregon will play Oregon State next week, and a spot in the Pac-12 championship game is certainly a possibility. Michael Penix's team, Washington, also won tonight, 22-20, which kept them undefeated. They're the one undefeated team in this Heisman race. He did not have a dominant statistical night, but they played the first half of that game in a driving rainstorm, and Penix certainly made a number of conversions tonight. If you are looking at the statistical comparisons between these, there really is not any comparison, and I'll give them to you right now. Michael Penix is thrown for 3,695 yards. Patrick Nix. That's how old I am. Bo Nix is thrown for 3,539 yards, and Jaden Daniels is thrown for 3,677. That is basically a statistical wash. They are all within some 100 yards of each other. Penix has thrown 30 touchdown passes, Nix has thrown 35, and Daniels has thrown 36. So the Penix has fallen back, okay? So I'm going to kind of take him out of the equation. His numbers aren't quite as good, even though his team is undefeated. If he throws 5 touchdown passes next week in the Apple Cup and throws another 5 in the Pac-12 championship game, he'll get back in it. But for right now, this is where they are. Daniels has thrown 4 interceptions, and Nix has thrown 2 interceptions. So, again, the passing numbers are basically a statistical wash. Daniels has rushed for 1,014 yards, and Nix has run for 121. This is sort of like if you were voting for the American League MVP award and Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge were tied with the same amount of hits, same amount of home runs, and the same amount of RBIs. But Ohtani pitches too, okay? and so that's where kind of I am on this is if statistics are what weigh you, okay, and it's not everything that weighs you, then Jaden Daniels wins the Heisman Trophy. He just does, by a lot. Okay, I can get into a lot of advanced metrics about explosive plays or yards per attempt, or I'm just going to give you one that everybody here can easily understand. He's got 1,000 yards rushing, and nobody else has got more than 125.
Pretty big.
And you matched all of the passing numbers. He's been big in the big games. He's had to carry a defense. So if you are statistically motivated, all right, Jaden Daniels wins the Heisman, which is why I didn't think that – I said this before the game, and I'm not going to go back on it now just because it would be popular. This may not make everybody happy, but there was really no need for him to play the last two drives that he played.
No doubt.
The statistics were there already. It makes for some nice round numbers. He was going to go over 1,000 yards next week anyway. I guess you get to say he's over 1,000 yards all this week, and that's nice. The last 2 drives accounted for 107 passing yards, 18 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns, 1 passing and 1 rushing. It's great, and the 8 touchdowns in a game is great, but he had it before that.
Yeah.
Okay, those numbers. I said this before the game, and I'll say it again now. If you're statistically based on this, Jaden Daniels had the Heisman Trophy in his hand at the beginning of the 4th quarter. Okay. Any other game he comes out. They left him in, put up some more numbers. The numbers are already decided to me. Now, if the numbers are not the only thing that sway you, then we've got, a discussion to have. Who has played the tougher schedule? Well, Jaden Daniels has played the tougher schedule. You look at the top 3 teams on these three candidates' resumes. LSU has played Florida State, who was 11-0 and lost
terrible
Jordan Travis to just a horrific injury today. Hated to see that.
Yeah.
But they played Florida State. They played Alabama, who's 10-1, and then take your pick out of Missouri or Ole Miss, who are both 9-2. Oregon has played Washington, who's 11-0. Their next best win is Oregon State, who's a good team. They play Oregon State next week is 8-3, and then they played Utah, who has now fallen back to 7-4. And Washington has played Oregon, who's 10-1. And then their next best game was Oregon State tonight at 8-3. They play Utah and USC, who both have 7 wins. The schedule favors Jaden Daniels. The stats favor Jaden Daniels. Okay, LSU has lost 2 more games. If that's what's swaying you, then there's nothing that Daniels can do. No. If you are basing this on the team's record and the fact that they've lost 2 more games, that's a perfect. Look, the Heisman Trophy is awarded to the best college football player in America. You are open to interpretation here. Okay, there's not
that's the problem.
That's the whole. Well, but that's part of what makes the award what it is. You know, too. If this was just a statistical competition, well, there wouldn't be any intrigue to it at all. We could just put it on paper and we'd know. So if wins and losses are important to you for an individual award, and for a lot of people they are, and I understand, that's got to play into it. There's a kid at Virginia who's actually got more catches than anybody, and he's not going to win the Biletnikoff because Virginia's not any good.
Yeah.
Okay? So wins and losses have to matter to a certain point, but how much do they? If wins and losses matter to you, then Jaden Daniels won't win the Heisman. And there's nothing he can do about it between now and the end of the season. Now, careful on the raw stats as well, and just basing everything on that, because Bo Nix and Michael Penix are going to get an extra game. So some of the raw numbers are going to go higher, assuming that everybody plays roughly the same next week.
Yeah.
I don't expect Nix to go out and throw for 120 yards, and I don't expect Daniels to do that either. I think they'll all probably be somewhere, close. These numbers are over the course of an entire season. So what matters to you? And I can't answer that. There's, buku Heisman voters, media, former Heisman winners. They'll all vote based on what they think. I watched the Oregon game, a little bit of the Oregon game today. I've seen Oregon play half a dozen times. I saw Washington play tonight, and Penix was really good, okay? The numbers don't point it out, but trust me, that was a tough game in the bad conditions. Penix has had a great year. I think Daniels is better than the two of them.
Nobody takes over a game the way Daniels does.
He is the most, I think, dominant player in college football. But is he going to win the Heisman? I think it's going to be close. And unfortunately, I think if we think it's close today, and they're going to have a discussion on college football final today and on whatever, shows tomorrow, and, drive down to Biloxi. I listen to ESPN radio in the morning. Peter Burns is on there. They usually have Heather Dinich on and a couple other, and they'll talk about all this, and Daniels will be right there. But 2 weeks from today, those two kids are going to play, and Daniels isn't. Yeah. And that's what's going to be hard to overcome. Not impossible, but that's what's going to be tough to overcome.
That's the biggest thing, in my opinion, is that those two are going to go against each other in the Pac-12 championship. And that's going to be a big spotlight where everybody's watching when LSU's not playing a football game. But I'm talking about today, as you watch football and all the games are ending, nobody's been more dominant than Jaden Daniels. And when I watched the national media, I felt like they pushed it again tonight. They kept talking about Jaden Daniels and what he's done. He's the most electric player out there. He means more to the team than anybody else in college football. And you got to look at who he's doing it against. He's not doing it against bad teams. I mean, tonight I thought they played him a little too long. He got to pad a little bit of stats, but like you said, we're not talking about that. But I saw the strength of schedule thing you were talking about earlier. I think LSU's was 4, and then Oregon's was closer to 50.
I could have gone deeper. Yeah,
it was a huge difference from where LSU's strength of schedule and then Penix and Nix. I mean, Nix, it was in the 50s and 40s, and LSU sitting there at 4.
I put the teams up at the top because I think that's what people are going to look at. They're going to look at the top teams you played. I don't think any of the voters are going to follow it down to say who's better, Arizona State or Arkansas. I think they're going to look at the top teams on the schedule.
And I don't think they're going to do that either, but 4 to 40 is a huge difference.
It is.
And you start looking at those numbers, it's way more mind-blowing when you start talking about Arizona or Florida or – when you start putting that, when you say 4 and 51 and 44 or whatever it was, it's somewhere around there, the numbers make it look a lot bigger.
Let me caution you about something that I think a lot of LSU fans may do when they start listing the teams that LSU's played and using it as strength of schedule. Don't use Florida.
No,
and don't use Auburn either, okay? Ordinarily that would work, but Florida.
I said Florida and Arizona State. I wasn't really comparing.
I know, but that's a thing. They play Florida, they play. Those teams are not good.
No.
Okay,
Missouri
and Ole Miss is what you're putting up here, in addition to Florida State and Alabama. But ordinarily you would put Florida and Auburn up there. Don't do right. Just don't do that this year. Auburn got beat by 21 at home today against New Mexico State. So
I meant to get here early enough to talk to you about that.
Don't use those teams. Use the other teams. Brian Kelly went to bat for his quarterback in the post game. This is Kelly talking about Jaden Daniels.
Well, it was a great performance again by our offense. 8 possessions, 8 touchdowns. What more can you say? It's been exciting watching them, and I hope everybody's enjoyed the efficiency in which they operate. I think Georgia State had a great game plan. They came in trying to hold on to the football. They had 35 minutes of possession time to our 24, hoping to, shorten the game. But we were just so efficient on offense. Daniels, again, 8 touchdowns, accounted for 6 touchdowns, 2 rushing. And what else was amazing was 25 for 30 for over 400 yards. I mean, 25 for 30 for 400 yards, the efficiency of that. Generally, when you see 25 for 30, you see like short passes, screens, flares, things of that nature. Just a dominating performance from the offensive side. And I thought, after the 2 touchdowns that we gave up defensively, 2 plays that we, obviously felt like we should have, defended better, they settled down and did a nice job for the last 3 quarters. And
LSU wins it by a score of 56-14. We got a lot more to get to, including the Biletnikoff race. We'll break down the numbers of the top 3 guys there. Take your phone calls. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LeBarish hotline. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
98.1.
Eagle on 8.1 Game Day continues. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LeBearish hotline. Let me give you the numbers on the Biletnikoff and Malik Neighbors, who had a big night tonight. He had 140 yards and 2 touchdowns on 8 catches. The top 3 players for the Biletnikoff right now are Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State, and Rome Odunze from Washington, who had a big game tonight against Washington State, and they needed every bit of it. Neighbors has 80 catches. Odunze has 66 catches, and Harrison has 62 catches. Neighbors has 1,424 yards. Odunze has 1,206 yards, and Harrison has 1,093 yards. Harrison has 13 touchdowns. Neighbors has 12, and Odunze has 11. This is closer than the quarterbacks, but the Neighbors has got the edge.
I would go, which I know that it's not going to get looked at, but look at the number 2s on the other guys. I feel like Marvin Harrison is the passing game for Ohio State. He's the guy they're going to go to. He's their number 1. He's their only guy. You know, and for Malik to even be in this conversation, considering that Brian Thomas has the most touchdowns on the team. I mean, I don't know if it's, you know, his touches and touchdowns and opportunities are split in half because of who else he has on his team. Marvin Harrison doesn't have that, and I don't know about the Washington guy, but I always feel like that needs to be brought up because, I mean, what he's doing is incredible, but there's also another guy on his team who has records.
The second leading receiver for Ohio State is the tight end, who's got half as many yards as Harrison does. I'm not sure who Washington's second leading receiver is, but
I mean, I had this conversation earlier in the week. We were talking about this, and we were talking about Marvin Harrison.
The number 2 guy at Washington's pretty close. He's about 200 yards behind Odunze.
Yeah.
So he's got very good numbers. Jalen Polk.
Yeah, I just think it's incredible what Malik's doing, and I almost kind of feel bad because nobody's talking about Brian Thomas. He's having a hell of a year too. I mean, incredible year. Does he still leave the country in touchdowns?
I'm pretty sure he does.
I mean, that's your number 2.
Yeah, I'll tell you, some people who are talking about him,
the
scouts.
Yes. I heard today they're talking
GMs.
about they got 3 LSU players going in the top 20.
Moscona
and T-Bob were talking about that earlier. They had talked to Nick Underwood, the Saints.
Underhill,
yeah, Nick Underhill, and he was saying that the scouts he's talking about they were like, oh no, Jaden's top 20. But they're also talking about Malik and Brian Thomas.
Neighbors, I promise you, is going in the top 20. I think Thomas is there too. I think Daniels will get there. Yeah. I think he'll be a first-round pick. I know a lot of the mocks don't have him there now.
Who do you draft over him? I mean, are we still talking about, like, the biggest knock on a running quarterback back in the day was everybody wanted a Peyton Manning. They wanted that Andrew Luck was the next Peyton Manning, that pro-style guy, that big, tall, 230, 6'4", sits in the back and just picks defenses apart. But now, I mean, everybody you look at, Patrick Mahomes is great because what he does with his legs and it spreads the defense out. Jaden Daniels is as good as anybody I've seen at the college level. And I'm not saying that always translates to the NFL, but if you're just going off what you're watching, I don't see anybody better.
Most of the lists right now have Caleb Williams number 1 and Drake May from North Carolina number 2. And then you will see Shedeur Sanders from Colorado if he decides to come out. Deion saying that he's not, but we'll see if that holds or not. And then you see
I've watched all of them.
Yeah,
and I get that's kind of it's where the season started, where everybody was drafted, and now you're kind of working against the grain to get them there. But I've watched Shedeur play a bunch of times, great. Watched Caleb Williams, plays great. There's something between the ears that blows my mind with Caleb, and that's the thing that these scouts are looking at, because there's something that he says the wrong thing, sometimes does the wrong things that would bother me as a scout. Jaden does everything right. And I'm not being just an LSU homer because I had problems, or not had problems, but I had thoughts about Jaden Daniels where I didn't like exactly where he was going early on. But man, it doesn't get any better what he's doing.
Yep, they're going to be up. We'll have plenty of time to talk about the draft, but Daniels he's a mover. He is moving up the charts. 499-9898 is the number. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Jeremy is in Baton Rouge to start things off. Jeremy, welcome into the show.
Good evening, gentlemen. Just wanted to say, with our great receivers, I hope we could keep our receiver coach and our offensive coordinator, for that matter. Whether Jaden wins the Heisman or not, look, it normally goes to the best offensive player on one of the top teams, and I think he's done everything humanly possible to win it. Whether he wins it or not remains to be seen. And I thought Jacoby and Guillory played a great game. Defensively, I say great. That's relatively speaking because our defense is pretty pitiful. But I was impressed with that when the other team would punt and like that weird-looking punt and the up guy would catch it, we didn't drop any punts. So I was happy with that. Just a great game all around. And I liked your baseball analogy earlier because I think if Jaden was a running back, just looking at his running numbers is really, really impressive. So I'm looking forward to beating the Aggies next week, and thank y'all for what y'all do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the call. Jaden Daniels is coming into today. I don't have all of the updates, but coming into today, he was the 28th leading rusher in the country. That's running backs and everybody. Yeah. So, and let me see.
That's a bad stat for Jaden. You know,
any quarter
in the 20s?
Let's see. The next highest quarter. You'll like this. The next highest rushing quarterback behind Jaden Daniels plays for, wait for it, Army.
Army or Air Force is where I was going.
Army. Oh, the Air Force guy's right behind him.
I knew it was Army or Air Force.
For sure. Matt is in Morgan City on the LaBerge Hotline. Matt, welcome into the show. Hey, Matt, go ahead. Matt. All right. Let's try Brian in Ohio. Brian, welcome into the show.
Hey, Charlie. First of all, I want to let you know I'm married to a girl from Hanson from around your time. So
hey,
kind of know your area.
Anybody? Give me a first name. I might get it.
Kyra?
Yeah, okay. Yes. I know who you are now.
All right.
My guy, they gave Southern Lab a game last night. I had to, give them a little shout out.
Yeah. Secondly, watching the defense this year, do you think, like tonight specifically, but maybe during the season, are they making adjustments, or is it just a difference in talent level from the season and tonight specifically?
Do I think they're making adjustments?
Or was tonight just a matter of talent?
No, the Georgia State is not more talented than some of the other offensive teams.
I feel like what he's saying, though, are they making adjustments, or is the defense getting better against the talent they're playing?
No, not in my opinion.
No, not at all. I mean, look, you saw what they did in the first two drives. They went down the field. Yeah. We got lucky that we got a couple fourth down stops. The defense is just hard to watch at this point. I mean, it's not getting better. They're not doing better things, and it's kind of one of those things like I told you. I'm not really watching it because it's not gotten better, and there's nothing you can watch about it. I'm just enjoying Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, there was another play besides the fourth downs, okay? This was in the first half, I want to say somewhere in the early part of the second quarter, where Granger throws the most beautiful ball you ever seen to the front corner of the end zone, and I don't know if the kid lost it in the lights or if something got in his eye or whatever. But
he never found the ball.
No, yeah. but the ball is put. I mean, if he'd have stuck his hands out, it would have fallen in him. Yeah. The ball couldn't have been thrown any better. And like I said, all I can assume is he got something in his eye, or he got he lost it in the lights. You've caught balls in the stadium before. What happened?
When you run that route and the quarterback throws it when you're not looking, you're always trying to find the guy in the corner of your eye. Mm-hmm. He threw the ball dead when his guy wasn't looking at it. And when you look up in the light, you just can't find it. I mean, it's one of those things that, he threw the ball without him even having a clue he was throwing the ball, and he just never found it.
SEC guys would have found it.
Yeah.
That should have been a
Unless
touchdown.
you're in the New Orleans Superdome. It's tough in there.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. That should have been a touchdown.
No, it should have been
That should have been a touchdown. Let's see. Charlie is in Lafayette. Charlie, welcome into the show.
How you guys doing? I was enjoying listening to y'all. I was online. I got dropped, but anyway, I was enjoying listening to your stats and everything, your comparisons and everything. I got questions for you. It's kind of more of the future and everything. Personally, I think Jaden Daniels is the best player hands down, but we got to be realistic. If Oregon wins the next two games to beat Washington and everything, Bo Nix, I just know how people think, and but I think Jaden Daniels has been great for LSU. But anyway, a couple of things I wanted to ask. One, if after the A&M game next week and after the Heisman Trophy, whatever is decided, and whether he wins it or he comes in second or whatever. Do you think he'll probably forego the bowl game? And where do you see him being drafted? I see him drafted in the first round. I think the Saints would love it if they could get him. But, where do you see him being drafted? That couple of questions there, So, anyway, I'm interested in your thoughts on that. And, I enjoy listening to the program so far.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. I think that he accepted a Senior Bowl invitation this week. So that leads me to believe, listen, I think Daniels will be a first-round pick. Is he a slam dunk, absolutely, positively can't miss number one pick at the top of the first round? He is not. Not right now. Not today. And you say, what else could he possibly do? It's not like that. Listen, I'm telling you, right now on a lot of draft boards, the kid at North Carolina is ahead of him. Now, doesn't mean the kid at North Carolina is a better college player. It's not even close. But it's not always drafted on that. Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. He went to Delaware, okay? So the NFL drafts on different stuff sometimes. But I do think that Daniels continues to move up, and I think that he will play in the bowl game, which is another opportunity for him to impress scouts against whoever they play, and he's going to play in the Senior Bowl. If he was locked up at the top of the draft, I wouldn't blame him if he didn't.
Yeah.
But I think there's some room for him to move up. I think he's already put himself into the first round, and I think he can move himself up higher in the first round with more of these performances. Every time you watch him play, how can you not be impressed?
It brings me to I'm glad you said that, because you keep talking about, as far as the Heisman, why play anymore? He's got the stats. He's done this. But when you talk about the draft, you're like, well, he's got to do this, he's got to do that, and there's still opportunity for him to rise up. So, I mean, what's your opinion on that? Because you're telling me if you're looking at stats, there's no more comparison. He is the Heisman winner if you're going off that. But in the NFL draft, you're like, well, he's got a couple more opportunities to do something.
What I meant was that the last two drives didn't matter.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he couldn't go out there and throw for 150 yards and 3 interceptions tonight. I mean, the stats yes, the stats matter. I meant the last two drives where the stats they wouldn't have swayed me. I've seen enough of Jaden Daniels. If I'm a scout, okay,
I don't need to see any more game tape.
I don't either, but if he goes out and he puts some more good game tape,
it doesn't need to see any more game tape. I'm telling you right now, what's going to make him rise is getting in the film room with the scouts.
Mm-hmm.
Game tape's not doing anything. Where you've seen everything you can do. I mean, there's 2 more games left. Nothing you are going to see that you haven't seen. I mean, he's broken a record in the last 3 games we've watched. He's broken an LSU record, FBS record, whatever it is. What he's going to move him up is when he gets to the combine and they start breaking down film. They start asking him questions.
Yeah.
They start talking to him as a person. They get to know him. That's where his stock's going to go up. There's nothing – he could not play the rest of the season. The film does nothing at this point. It's once they get him in the room, they watch him understand football. They want to know how he breaks down film, how he reads defenses, how he sees things, and that's what's going to make the biggest difference.
They're also not going to spend a ton of time watching this film.
No.
They're going to watch the Alabama film. They're going to watch the Florida State film.
On the other
Mike
day.
Lombardi. Yeah. They're going to watch the Florida State film. They're going to watch the Alabama film. They're going to watch probably the
Missouri.
Florida and Missouri film, the Ole Miss film. They're going to watch the SEC games in Florida State, as well. They're not going to watch the Army game. They're not going to watch the Grambling game. I mean, they're going to take a look, but that's not where their focus is going to be. And he's put up the numbers against the best teams. I mean, before they knocked him out of the Alabama game, he had, right at 400 yards.
Yeah.
So, no, he's fine there. 499-9898 is the number to call. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be.
98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. 499-9898 is the number to call. ESPN Bet has just updated their odds. They've got Knicks at plus 115 and Daniels at plus 120. That's outside of a dead heat. That's as close as you can get. Matt is in Morgan City on the LaBerge Hotline. Matt, welcome into the show.
How you doing?
Good.
You got me?
Yep.
All right. As unpopular opinion, I don't know if this is right or not, is Jaden Daniels the best quarterback in the past 20 years at LSU? I understand with Burrow in the 2019 team, you got two or three Pro Bowlers, but you probably got 2 or 3 Pro Bowlers with the wide receivers we got now. Do you agree or not?
It's a great question because I wanted to ask that earlier. Like, have you watched the 2019 season, just offensive plays? You don't get to look at the score. You don't get to look at anything.
Right.
Just offensive plays. And then you watch the 2023 offensive plays. I say you think Jaden Daniels is a more electrifying quarterback.
Yeah, there's a metric. It's I forgot if it's points added or yards added. Quarterbacks over the last 20 years. Yeah. The absolute best. Okay, this is supposed to encompass a lot of different things, not just rushing and passing, but field position, everything. Okay. And it was, what are the best quarterback seasons in the last 20 years in college football? I wish I had the metric in front of me. Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels were in pretty much a statistical tie, and I thought the Cam Newton's numbers were, and they were a little bit behind. Newton was there, Manziel's year was there. Kyler Murray's year was up there, but those two are the best, and they were statistically as close as you can get. I think if you look at it, the number of explosive plays, Daniels has probably got him. I think where Burrow's got him is a lot of those games came down to one play, and they made him. He made the play against Texas to Jets to win the game. He made 2 or 3 against Alabama to win the game. He made a couple against Auburn in the closest game of the year. He made the pass to Chase against Florida that put the Gators away that night. Those were those plays are the ones we remember because they ended up winning the games.
They won the games.
Yeah, and that's not Daniels' fault that he scored 49 points and the defense gave up 55.
We had a decent defense in what Jaden did against Alabama. He was making the plays to win that game, and the defense let him down. I think that's where it gets hard, and that's why I said if you just watch offensive plays from 2019 and offensive plays from now, because the games got away from LSU where there's nothing Daniels could have done.
You love all your kids equally, right?
Yeah, okay, I love all of them.
See, it's kind of like
some of them are better at things than other ones, but
right? Well, this is as close as it gets. Ron is in Baton Rouge. Ron, welcome into the show.
Hello. Yeah, I wanted to present an interesting take, and I'd like to get your perspective on it. As I understand it, and I may be wrong on this, the Heisman voters vote for 3 people: 1, 2, 3. And I know that in the best case world, everybody votes with integrity. There's, in a given year, there might be 5 or 6 people who might sort of be worthy of the highest. But I think this year we're down to, we know the top 3 or even the top 2. Regional bias sometimes being what it is. What would prevent, let's say Joe Burrow gets a vote, or Scott Robley, or perhaps yourself, or Moscona, or somebody, whoever the voters are from here, from voting Daniels number 1 and then voting, let's say, the Bucknell quarterback, or to, make it more legitimate, that Graham Mertz, the Florida quarterback, or somebody like that as 2 or 3, knowing that this would prevent the second or third guys like Nix and Penix from getting additional points.
The answer is nothing, but if you did that, I think you would probably be invited not to vote again.
Yeah.
If, for instance, there was one year that Duke got 1 vote for the top 25, and everybody was like, why did Duke get the vote? And it was in the coaches poll. They found out it was Steve Spurrier that did it. That Duke was going to be terrible that year. And said, why'd you vote? Okay, well, because Duke gave me a job once, and I'm always going to vote for them at least number 25. Okay, well, that was Spurrier. And everybody, okay, it's Spurrier, so we're going to let it go. But if somebody did what you're talking about, which is vote for the quarterback at Cornell or Bucknell or whatever you said, then I'm not saying they would throw that ballot out this year, but you'd never get to vote again. I mean, you got to be legitimate about this. If you want to vote in front, say Marvin Harrison, okay, who I think has got a good chance to be the 4th guy.
Throw him in there, not the quarterback.
Yeah, okay. If he would be the 4th guy, or if you wanted to vote for, Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, who came into the season. Okay, Sam Hartman was a legitimate candidate for the Heisman Trophy. Guy thrown for 13,000.
What about Malik Neighbors? I feel like his name should be thrown in there.
Well, Malik Neighbors, I gave you the stats. Yeah. Okay, he's the top wide receiver in the country statistically.
But everybody's talking about Marvin Harrison as a Heisman hopeful.
Everybody is talking about Marvin Harrison, and Harrison's had some dominant games, but he's also had some very quiet games, including the one against Notre Dame. He did not do very much at all in that game. So, if you vote for somebody that's completely off the beaten path, you would probably lose your vote.
But don't do that. Just vote for Malik. Vote for a receiver. vote for the 4 and 5 guys. Just don't vote for the random guy.
Let's see who's next. Patrick in Baton Rouge in the LaBerge hotline. Patrick, welcome into the show. Patrick? Nope. All right, let's try Frank in Texas. Frank, welcome into the show.
Hello?
Hey, Frank, go ahead. Frank?
Hello?
Yeah, Frank, go ahead.
This is Patrick. Can you hear me?
This is Patrick. Okay, well.
We're back.
All right, you're back. Okay. All right, go ahead, Patrick.
Sorry, guys. First off, let me say thanks for having me on. Let me start by saying what a great game tonight by Jaden Daniels. But, defense is really not helping his system. But how do we feel about the hype around a team that's doing well, right? So LSU, in terms of their stats, is not doing well, but Jaden Daniels is doing well. So a guy like, J.J. McCarthy has got a lot of hype around him because Michigan is 10-0, 11-0 after tonight. So Jaden obviously has a better standing than J.J. McCarthy does, but I feel like the hype train is not behind him because LSU, especially defensive-wise, has not been backing him, right? So how does a team versus the player impact his Heisman standings?
Well, that's the real question, okay? Is the team performance more important to you than the individual performance when it comes to the Heisman Trophy? Listen, I think
about J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah,
when the game came down to it, they ran 32 times in a row.
J.J. McCarthy was a Heisman candidate 2 weeks ago. He no longer is. I think everybody here, including Jaden Daniels himself, would love to be talking about the team goal still on the table. Would love to be talking about a possible trip to Atlanta being clinched next week. Would love to be talking about a trip to the playoffs. But that's not going to happen. None of that's going to be. So this is what has captured our attention. It's not like LSU's had a gazillion Heisman Trophy candidates. It's not like USC or Oklahoma or Notre Dame. Cannon won it. Burrow won it. Alexander was a finalist. Matthew was a finalist. That's pretty much it, okay? I mean, over 100 years of LSU. And Jerry Stovall finished second in 1962 and probably should have won it over Terry Baker. I mean, that's it. That's the list. We've had some other guys but that had a chance, but things didn't work out for whatever reason. And look, LSU's had some guys go to Pro Football Hall of Fame, to College Football Hall of Fame. But, as great as Kevin Falk was, he wasn't a Heisman finalist. He didn't get in there. Tommy Hodson left as the highest, had the most yards in the history of the Southeastern Conference passing when he left here. They even put the Hodson for Heisman things up at the beginning of the season, but the team wasn't very good that year, so it never took off. So this is kind of fun. This is a fun way for us to finish the season. I don't particularly want to talk about Georgia State all that much.
No, I mean,
so this is fun for us. But does it replace team goals, or is it more important than team goals? No. And as far as Michigan goes, Richard's right. They kind of took the ball out of McCarthy's hands. Would they have done that if Harbaugh was on the sidelines? I don't know, but he's not on the sidelines. So
you have to be a special player. When you go look at the guys that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks who've won it with 3 losses, you got to be a Tim Tebow-esque player. You got to have the whole country knows you. You got to be Tim Tebow, Robert Griffin. Everybody talked about Robert Griffin the whole season. Lamar Jackson. I was at my friend's wedding sitting in a hotel when he started for the first time that year and went off. The whole world was talking about Lamar Jackson. I feel like the only problem with Jaden Daniels is the whole world wasn't talking about him until last week. I mean, he'd been great, but the records he broke against Florida, then you started to hear all the national broadcasters talking about Daniels for Heisman. Look, we've already said, my opinion, he should win it. He's the best player in college football. He's the most electrifying. He's the most important player to a team in college football. But I think the biggest problem is the 2 guys that are right up there with him are going to play in a championship game.
Yeah, and Daniels was the second favorite to win the Heisman at the beginning of the season.
I didn't even realize that.
But in the preseason, he was right up there. But what happened? They got thumped in the opening game.
Yeah.
He didn't play great. He didn't play bad. He had some decent numbers, but he didn't play great. And LSU got thumped. So he, kind of, and then what they play. Grambling and a bad Mississippi State team, and it kind of fell off the radar for a little while. And then he started putting up half 100 a game, and he started putting up these record-setting numbers, and he got back on everybody's radar. I'll be honest with you, I thought after the Alabama game, that was pretty much that.
Yeah.
He would have to do – somebody would ask me that night, what does he have to do? Something super extraordinary. Well, guess what? He did. and he's back on, which is why I'm not counting Michael Penix out of this yet. If he has, 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in the Pac-12 championship game, guess what? He's going to win it.
Yeah.
He's going to win it. If they beat Oregon a second time and he puts up that kind of game in that situation and they're undefeated and they're going to the playoffs, Penix is going to win it.
Yeah.
but I don't think he's going to do that. He's sort of come back a little bit. I thought he was good tonight.
Yeah.
The numbers are not going to show it. He completed less than 50% of his passes, but if you watch that game, which I was watching the game side by side, the first half was played in the driving rain, and he converted half a dozen third downs in that game that they absolutely positively had to have, and they won the game on the road in a very difficult spot. I thought it was a good performance by Michael Penix, even though the stats are not going to be overwhelming. But if the stats are overwhelming in the Pac-12 championship game, he's right back in the deal.
That's where I'm at. Right now, I think Jaden Daniels should win it.
If we voted today.
Yeah. But they got that extra game, and it's against another Heisman hopeful.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
No chance that game can be played in a driving rainstorm because they're playing it inside. Okay. It's in Vegas.
You gave me a little bit of hope for a second.
No. Look, they played that game in the past in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay, so the weather can be nasty in San Francisco, but no, they're playing it inside. So the chances of that game finishing 13-10 aren't great.
You ruined it for me.
I know. Well, look, I'm just here to give you a dose of reality. But
they can play bad next week, and Jaden Daniels can go off against A&M and just destroy them.
That would be a wonderful thing. We're brought to you in part by AJ's Sports Cards, located off Drusilla. Open 9:30 to 6 Monday through Friday. Saturday from 9:30 until 2. Football, baseball, and basketball cards. Also a good variety of Pokemon cards and all the supplies you'll need for collectors, like cases and sleeves. And right now, the Topps buyback program is available right now. This is the 2023 Topps Chrome MVP buyback promotional values. If you got refractor trading cards, these are the reflective coating and display rainbows when you get them at a certain angle cards. If they you can trade them in for score credit. If they have more than 100 copies, they trade for $100. If they trade for less than 100 copies, they trade for $200. Your base chrome and logo fractors all available for you at AJ Sports Cards off of Drusilla. Again, 9:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, and 9:30 to 2 on Saturdays, closed on Sundays. Back with more of your phone calls. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, You're getting a re-roof. You're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified, and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years.
98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. LSU wins at 56-14 tonight against Georgia State. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LeBerge hotline. Juck is in Texas. Juck, welcome into the show.
Hey, Charlie. Good to talk to you. So I go all the way back to the early 90s listening to you with old Bottom Line Bob and Bruce Hunter and all those guys.
Oh, wow. You have been around a while.
Yeah, way back. You've had a great career, man.
Thanks.
So I got two comments. So the first comment is I remember there was a lot of talk about RG3 being a track guy, and he ran a lot of straight lines, and he took some vicious hits because of that. And then we saw Lamar Jackson and how elusive he was, and even in the NFL, I know he's been injured, but it's really hard to hit him square because he's so elusive. And so the next generation of Jaden Daniels, he's like Lamar Jackson with just a better accurate arm and a better understanding of what he's seeing in front of him. And so I'm tracking with you what you're saying with the scouts and everything, because nobody ever hits him. After last year when they taught him how to slide, nobody ever really hits him square, and that's a good thing to have in the NFL. The second thing is I noticed, like you see on the front of his chest, he's got that graduate patch, right? And I remember the story about Burrow talking about how because his last year at LSU, he was at graduate school, he only had like 2 hours of online classes. And then the rest of the day, he would go to the football ops center, and he would spend, with the offensive staff looking at film. And he had a really, big presence in the game plan. And so I feel like a lot of the development of Jaden is that because he's in graduate school, he doesn't have as much of a demand on him, per se, that maybe a student, Richard, you would be able to talk about this, that a student who has to go to classes and is way more involved in the day-to-day of student life, he has more time to spend in the ops room, with the offensive staff, and I think that's going to portend very well for his future, like you said, sitting with scouts and being prepared for the NFL draft.
Yeah, I don't think he's carrying an 18-hour load this semester. He's a graduate, and he's an experienced guy, over 50 career starts, and we've heard the story. He has put the work in.
Yeah.
That is
Absolutely.
So obvious. Whether it be in the off season, when he went out to California, or working with his guys here, or getting in the building at 5:30 in the morning. We've heard all those stories, but I wouldn't have needed to. Once you watch, there's no way that guy sat around in the off season doing nothing and plays like this.
You don't throw more touchdowns than incompletions in a game without knowing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what he did tonight. I mean, he's brilliant with what he does. You can see it in the way his head moves in the game. He knows all of his reads. He runs when he needs to run. But to his point, yeah, it's a huge difference when you're a grad. I mean, I think Joe Burrow took 6 hours his last year, 2 online classes. When you can spend all your time at the film room, I mean, I sat in the goal line short yardage meetings because they were about 2 o'clock. I was done with classes. I could get there. When you can do that every day, it's huge because you're not only learning the game plan on Monday when the coaches show it to you, you were there when they were developing the game plan. And when you're there, you get to understand a little bit more. You're ahead of the game, and it makes the biggest difference. I wish all of our quarterbacks we're able to spend that much time in the film room with the coaches.
It's a wonderful thing to be able to keep a quarterback this long.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that you might get one of these guys every 20 years that,
Well, we get them in every 4 years now.
Well, I was going to say that has 50 starts
Yeah.
in college. Even Burrow didn't have that many starts. Flynn didn't have that many starts. Jamarcus didn't have. Jaden Daniels, and I know the
5-year
COVID year
guys are rare.
He got essentially the bonus 4 games because of the COVID year that didn't count against him. But I mean, this guy started from the day he hit campus to today and everything in between. That amount of experience. Brock Purdy, okay, at Iowa State, who started roughly 50 games, the entire time. Was he prepared when he got to the NFL? I mean, it's not always like that. C.J. Stroud didn't start 50 games at Ohio State, but that guy looks like a superstar. So I'm not saying it's a slam dunk, but boy, sure does help. Doesn't he look like a guy that started 50 games?
It's something that you can't gauge is like football intelligence. Some people have it. Like there's guys that can come in as a freshman, sophomore, and they're a little bit more. They know the nuance a little bit more. Football intelligence is so different. I wouldn't name names. There's guys that I played with that if you talk to them in a bar, talk to them at a restaurant, you're like, that doesn't sound too smart. And then you watch him talk football, and he's brilliant. He knows everything. The way some guys, just understand the ins and outs of football. I mean, it's different. And Jaden Daniels is brilliant with everything he's doing.
499-9898 is the number. Jules is in Abbeville. Jules, welcome into the show. Oh, did I skip?
Hello.
Hey, Jules.
How you doing?
Good.
Hey,
How are you?
Good. Hey, couple of points. As far as the Heisman voting, I would think there's probably some kind of approved list, maybe that the voters.
There isn't. There isn't. It's the only one that's like that. Everything else has got a list of finalists. The Heisman doesn't.
Okay, don't cut me off. Wait.
Go ahead.
I think one thing that might hinder Daniels at this point, as far as the NFL goes, is his slight build. And my next point, seems like too many people are stressing over the Heisman thing. And I hate analytics and metrics, Charles, so you make me cringe when you say it. And lastly, the most pressing question for LSU athletics, what's going on with Angel Reese, Charles? What do your insiders say?
Oh gosh, I don't think you need an insider to look at that and say that probably somebody needs a little attitude adjustment.
It's a little humbling.
Listen, this was going to be a challenging coaching job for Kim Mulkey, and I'm pretty sure she's up to it. But this is essentially like coaching a dream team.
Yeah.
I can't even.
A dream team full of 18 to 21-year-olds.
Well, yeah, a dream team full of 18 to 21-year-olds, but a dream team. The best teams in any sport all time up until 2021 didn't have to deal with what Kim Mulkey's dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Okay? She's dealing with millionaires. Okay? All right? You guys were good,
Forget
right?
the WNBA. They're making more money than they'll ever make playing.
You guys
pro
were
women.
good, right?
Yeah.
You want a ring down the Superdome, right?
Yeah.
Were you a millionaire when you were at LSU?
I got a free beer here and there.
Was Flynn? Was Hester?
No.
Was Dorsey? Dorsey won every award known to man. Was he a millionaire when he's at LSU?
We were still just looking for a free beer.
They're making millions. So she's having to deal with that. Hey, when you park your luxury vehicle and
they might have a more expensive car than Coach Mulkey.
Then we need you to come to practice and go to class, okay?
No.
In between stacking zeros in the bank. It's just a challenge. I'm not even blaming the kid. I'm just saying this is a lot when you are. I did a podcast about this right after they won the championship, and I say, right now 2 weeks ago you were almost famous,
Yeah.
okay? And talking about Reese and Flaugier, and you were almost famous. You're about to be famous. You're about to have a level of fame thrust on you like you've never. And it's hard. It would be hard for somebody who was twice as old as they are to handle that kind of money and that kind of fame and do everything you're supposed to do.
let alone the money. I've seen a lot of football players and guys just get the fame part and fall apart.
Right.
Now they got the money part going with it.
Yeah, so she's going to have to. And by the way, my understanding is that this will all work out. This will be fine.
It was a game at Southeastern that she could prove a point, send a message, get it going in the right direction.
I think she might miss more than just that one, but I do think that it'll probably work out. But this is a whole fresh set of problems.
Yeah.
Okay, and by the way, the football players are making money, the baseball players are making money. You know, at some point they'll recruit better in men's basketball. Those guys will make some money.
But just to the point, I think it's harder in women's basketball because they're making more money than they'll make going pros. The big thing with football players right now is like you're talking about $100,000, $200,000. You want to get to the NFL money. You want to get millions. This is the height of their life. They're not making any more money when they go to the WNBA.
The only thing that saved us when we were in college from getting in any more trouble than we did was we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
and there weren't iPhones. That kept us out of a lot of trouble. The no iPhones.
You want to scare the hell out of parents or whatever. Just say, hey, give your kid a whole bunch of money when they're 18, 19 years old, 20 years old.
When you don't have to call mom and ask for some money to get gas.
Right. So it's a whole fresh set of problems. What was the other? Oh, the slender build.
I don't think it.
I don't think it's going to hurt him now. But
going to the previous caller though, talking about how Jaden Daniels is elusive and doesn't take hits. I think he learned that after he got his ribs cracked. I mean, he got hit a lot early this season. There was a lot of powerful hits that were just bad. Once he got cracked up, he started sliding a lot more. But I think the comparison to Lamar Jackson is the closest one you can get. But he throws the ball so much better.
Now, I do think they want to put some weight on it when he gets to the NFL.
Yeah, you want to get to 220, 225.
He's probably about somewhere between 205 and 210.
They list him at 215, 210.
Yeah, that's
he's probably low.
A little lighter than that. I think when he's 25 years old and entering his prime, 25, 26 years old, he'll probably be 220 pounds. Yeah. 200. Really? Yeah. You're telling me this?
You telling me this?
9898 is the number. Josh in Baton Rouge. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. You killed me mentioning the honey badger a minute ago. If he hadn't, I understand that whatever discipline wise, but he was on track to shatter the forced fumble record. I think it's still owned by a guy from Kentucky from the 50s, but he was going to kill that record, and it still kills me that he didn't get to play that year. But that's that. My question about Jaden is, I'm hoping for like a kind of a competitive game in the Pac-12 because I feel like, and this is my question, y'all can bat it around. Maybe the regional and Pac-12 and West Coast people can split the vote a little bit between Phoenix and Knicks, and maybe the rest of the country is on board with Jaden. I think it would be a very competitive vote. It's not going to be a runaway vote unless, like you said, somebody has just a knockout game in the Pac-12. But I was wondering, and I hadn't really paid much attention to the Heisman. So in the past, a lot of times it's a runaway or there's a clear favorite at the end. But in a situation like this, I feel like there could be a nice vote split between the two Pac-12 guys, and Jaden might come out on top with the rest of the country.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the call, Josh. It's a good question.
But they would probably vote 1 and 2 and put him at third, which doesn't help him.
Well, but it's one of, I think it's 8, is it 6 regions or 8 regions that, they try to move this vote around. Let me give you my understanding of the evolution of the Heisman. I've read enough about this. When the Heisman used to be, there were 2 things about it. Number one, you had to have a build-up coming into your last season, and it was almost always won by a senior. I'm going back 60s, 70s, 80s, even into the 90s. So you had to have some sort of build-up. Somebody coming from out of nowhere. We're talking about pre-internet here, okay? So if you wanted say 1998 or so, if you wanted to see somebody play on the West Coast, first of all, you had to hope the game was on television. And the second thing was you had to actually be in a position where you could see it, and you had to catch the right game.
You had to call your cable provider and get the pay for the game.
You couldn't just pop on ESPN and see every game, okay? So what sports information directors used to do is they used to put together highlight tapes, and they'd mail them out to all of the media members in the summer. Hey, please watch this. This is what my guy did last year when he was a junior. He's going to be a senior. Please watch his box scores. And so you had a very strong regional bias in voting because people voted who they saw.
Yeah.
So if you were a writer in the Southeastern Conference, you saw Bo Jackson or Herschel Walker or, later on Peyton Manning. If you were on the West Coast, you voted for Marcus Allen or Charles White. It's not really like that anymore. Right now, I can get on this laptop and see any play for any player that I want to see. And so I don't have to, I'm not going to have a built-in regional bias for guys in the Southeast if I'm going to do it straight, okay? I can watch as much of Michael Penix as I can of Jaden Daniels if I want to, and I hope that the voters take it that seriously. So I don't know that there's this regional split. There's a little bit, but not nearly what it once was. And you can come from out of nowhere to win the Heisman now. Because nobody knew who Jameis Winston was before he won it. Nobody knew who Johnny Manziel was. I mean, the recruiting guys knew, but not
even the recruiting guys didn't know much about Johnny Manziel.
Nobody knew that those kids were going to be that good, and they wanted as freshmen, redshirt freshmen. So I think what you're saying is something that was very prevalent, but it was prevalent pre-internet.
I think you can sway some people. I mean, if there's a Pac-12 writer who's been writing in the Pac-12 for 30 years, and he's because you always hear about like SEC versus the Big Ten, the conference bias, who's better, who's greater. The SEC's been on top for so long. There might be a guy that's saying, I don't think they're that great, and he sticks with his opinion on it.
Something else that used to happen a lot, which happens far more infrequently now, is writers and broadcasters had relationships with coaches. They had personal relationships with coaches. So you could call a coach and get an off-the-record quote, and you say, listen, man, you played against both of these guys. Which one do you think is better? And the coach would give you a real answer, and that would sway some people. And that had regional bias to it. Yeah. Now, personal relationships between the media and coaches is almost non-existent. I mean, the personal relationships. Everybody's cordial and everybody works together, but the coaches and the writers used to go off and have dinner, go have drinks, talk. That really, that's rare now. Okay, so you had those regional biases as well, and that doesn't really play anymore either. 499-9898 is the number to call. We'll take a break. Be back with more Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
98.1.
Oh, yes, there we are. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. 499-9898 is the number to call on the LaBerge hotline. Jonathan in Baton Rouge is next. Jonathan, welcome into the show.
Yeah, thank you. Just got out of Tiger Stadium. A delighted night out there tonight. I just got to say one thing. If Daniels don't win this Heisman Trophy, he would be robbed.
No doubt.
Well, he's got a great shot. He's got a great chance to do it.
Yeah, it's just that simple. This kid is out of sight, man. And just hate to see him go, but this is it for us. We just hope somebody else come along. He don't have to be that good. Just be good.
Well, I'm kind of holding out hope that the Saints end up with him. We knew when Burrow was coming out that the Saints had no shot to get him because he was going to be the first pick in the draft. But I don't think Daniel's going to be the first pick in the draft, but I think he's going to be a first-round pick. The Saints have a first-round pick.
Yeah, I think the way he's playing himself out of the opportunity to be with the Saints. I mean, what are the Saints? 18?
Well, but depends on what you think, how you think the Saints are going to finish. Yeah. The Saints are the team that has gone the longest in the NFL without drafting a quarterback in the first round. You know who the last quarterback the Saints drafted in the first round was?
No.
Archie Manning. So you're going to go back all the way into the early 70s. Now, they took a quarterback named Dave Wilson in the supplemental first round out of Illinois, which was, I want to say, 82, something like that, 81, 82. No, it must have been 82, 83. Anyway, somewhere in there. But it's been a long time, okay? Yeah. So it's been 50 years since the Saints have taken a quarterback in the first round. This first round is going to have, I would say, it could be as many as 5 or 6. Quinn Ewers says he's coming back, and for the moment, Deion Sanders is saying that Shedeur is coming back. So we'll see if those two guys change their mind. Williams, May, Sanders, McCarthy, because is the last couple of weeks notwithstanding, is still thought of as a very high prospect. Penix, Drake, Nix. May's up at the top, and Daniels and Nix. I mean, you're going to have, I don't know, I don't think all of those guys are going to go in the first round. Penix right now has got like a third-round grade, but I could see somebody taking him with, a higher pick than that. especially if he wins a
You
Heisman.
see somebody taking him over Daniels, though? No.
I wouldn't. No. Penix doesn't run hardly at all. His mobility. Now, he made a couple plays with his feet tonight, which he's got negative rushing yards for the year when they take the sacks into consideration. But he doesn't run very much. He's got enough athleticism to buy himself some time, but nothing compared to Daniels. Nothing compared to Daniels.
Nobody is compared to Daniels when you're talking about you just said it. I mean, he's the 28th highest rusher, regardless of position in college football this year. I mean, that's incredible. He's the next highest, Army.
Right, exactly.
I mean, what he's doing, and then he's on top of the passing game. Like I know it sounds biased, and it's because I watch every LSU game and more than anything and watch him twice. Nobody's doing what he does.
I'm expecting over the course of the next few months that his rise up the draft board, I don't know that it's going to be exactly like Burrow's, because Caleb Williams has been at the top of this draft board for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be hard to move off of. But after you get past him, I watched the end of Clemson and North Carolina tonight. Drake May is a physical specimen, okay? He's got a fantastic arm. He's a really good athlete. He can run. But every time I see him in a big situation, it just ain't there. And I don't know why. But
do you compare him to and I'm not talking about what we know Josh Allen as of now, but he was a guy that played great in college, small college, but he had all the attributes you look for in a quarterback.
Allen was a better athlete than he is, and Allen's a bigger guy than he is. May's got a good arm. He doesn't have Allen's arm. I'm trying to think. There's nothing wrong with him, okay? I'll give you an example. Went to school there. There's some Mitchell Trubisky there.
Yeah.
Trubisky had the physical attributes. He could throw. He could run. He was big enough. He had enough arm.
But what did he do
and
in
he
big
went
games?
Nothing.
And that's where
and May's
at,
kind of like that too. And they don't even play for the same coach, but they're at the same school at North Carolina. Every time I watch May, it's like, okay, everything's in place, but I don't see you making the plays that I think you should make.
No, the only reason I even recognize Drake May is because of all the talk around him. When I watch the games, he doesn't pop out to me. He's not a guy that I look at, I'm like, God dang, who's this?
There was a play late in the game tonight against Clemson. They were down 2 scores, and it's a 4th down. And so the rush was coming. He's got to put the ball up. And he hangs it like 8 yards out of bounds.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those things where the blitz is coming, so he's got to get rid of it. So it's 4th down. You're down 2 scores. There's 2 whatever to go. And he just hangs this thing up out of bounds. This is one drive after he threw an interception on the sideline. Okay, this is them trying to get back into the game, down 2 scores with 3.5 minutes to go. Throws an interception on the sideline, and they get the ball back, and he kind of hangs one up on 4th down. I understand why everybody likes him, okay? Size, speed, athletic family. His brother was a great basketball player at North Carolina, on a national championship team. One of his other brothers was on the Florida national championship baseball team in 2017. So it's a family full of mom and dad were both college athletes. So it's a family full of athletes, and he looks the part. I just don't see him make the plays.
Put his game tape next to Daniels, and you watch both of them.
That's not
it's
even
not
close.
comparison.
No, that's not even close. We'll take a break. Come back here with some more. 499-9898 is the number to call. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Brandon Holly here. Siding, windows, even doors. ReliefWindows.com.
Eagle 98.1 WDGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Stat Check. Presented by Luba. Luba, genuine dependability.
All right, here's your yardstick, dominated by the Tigers, as you might expect. First downs, 26 for LSU, 17 for Georgia State. Total yards, 582 for the Tigers, 365 for the Panthers. That's kind of quite a lot for Georgia State. Let's see. Passing yards, 413 for LSU, 217 for Georgia State. Rushing, 169 for LSU, 148 for Georgia State. That's the one that bugs you, right? 4.8 yards per carry, yeah. Third down efficiency, Georgia State 5 out of 12, LSU 5 out of 6. Fourth down efficiency, 1 out of 4 for Georgia State. LSU didn't attempt a fourth down. Penalties, 7 for 50 yards for Georgia State, 5 for 55 for LSU. Neither team turned the ball over, and time of possession favored Georgia State 35-21 to 24-39. Individually, Jaden Daniels, 25 of 30, 413 yards, 6 touchdown passes. Darren Granger, 23 of 29, 179 yards and a touchdown. Rushing, Jaden Daniels, 10 carries for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. Caleb Jackson, 4 carries for 23 yards. And Trey Holly with 4 carries for 19 yards tonight. Marcus Carroll, 15 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown for Georgia State. Receiving, Malik Neighbors, 8 catches, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brian Thomas Jr., 4 catches, 103 yards and a touchdown. Kyron Lacey, 5 catches, 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. First time ever and that LSU has had 3 receivers go for over 100 yards and score a touchdown in the same game. Jefferson, Chase, and Marshall all went over 100, but one of them didn't score a touchdown in whatever game that was. Robert Lewis, 9 catches for 63 yards for Georgia State. Defensively, Omar Spates, 10 total tackles for LSU to lead the way. Ashton Stamps had 8 solo tackles tonight. That's kind of good for a corner, right? They moved the young corners around a lot tonight.
They did. I mean, they went from Stamps to Viano to Hughes. I mean, they were getting them all playing time.
Jeremiah Johnson with 10 total tackles tonight to lead the way for Georgia State. Let's see. What else we got? Georgia State punting. 3 punts for 34 yards apiece. LSU didn't punt. Where's he's been gone.
The least punted guy in
he was
the
least punted guy 2 games ago.
Yeah.
And since he hasn't punted in a game and a half, I would imagine we
went 2 games in a row with only 6 third-down opportunities. We were 2 of 6 with Florida State, and then whatever we were tonight, but 6 third-down opportunities twice in a row.
So doesn't he have the best job in all of college football? Jay Bramlett, we're talking about?
Definitely the list.
I almost forgot his name for a minute. I had to look it back. I was like, which one's for LSU? I forgot the guy's name. Look, I mean, he gets a free meal and a good ticket to watch the show, right?
I might walk on the field once a game.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have anything to do. We're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. It's Thanksgiving week. Rice dressing's a staple, and so many different rice dishes that you can do for Thanksgiving. Make it with Supreme Rice and support our Louisiana farmers down in southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed in southwest Louisiana. So whether you're picking up the long grain, the medium grain, the brown, or the jasmine, make it Supreme Rice for your next meal and make it for the holidays, or one more tailgating opportunity for you before or after LSU and Texas A&M. Pick it up at your AG food stores, your Walmarts, your Rouse's. We'll be at Rouse's for postgame next week with the early start. And, of course, you're going to get more for your dollars. And with Supreme Rice being in the Climate Smart program, we're preserving future generations of Louisiana farmers, promoting emissions reductions and water conservation. So look for the packaging with Supreme Rice and the Climate Smart program. For more information and great recipes, go to the website at SupremeRice.com. Back with our final scoreboard. That's next, Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner
98.1. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln, on airline under the giant American flag.
All right, everything's in the books tonight. Number 1, Georgia spotted Tennessee. Tennessee scored a touchdown on the first play from scrimmage today, did not score another touchdown. Georgia wins at 38-10. Carson Beck threw 3 touchdown passes. They look pretty good. They still haven't lost. They've
looked better every week. I mean, we talk about Alabama. I think Alabama's going to make a push in this because Alabama's gotten better every week as well.
Georgia tied the longest winning streak in Southeastern Conference history with their win today. Number 2, Ohio State beat Minnesota 37-3. By the way, Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown today. Okay. Number 3, Michigan held on to beat Maryland 31-24. Maryland had the ball down 5 with 6 minutes to go, had the ball down 7 with 3 minutes to go. Couldn't put a drive together either time, but they were at least in the ballpark. Ohio State and Michigan next week. Number 4, Florida State beat North Alabama 58-13, but the story here was Jordan Travis. If you haven't seen it, just take my word for it. Don't watch it. It's one of those horrific Joe Theismann, Moises Alou, Napoleon Kaufman type of injuries where the leg bends the wrong way. And
it's terrible.
It's awful. Because he's such a great player and
it's
a good
person. Such a great run what they're doing the last couple of years.
I hate to see that, and it's just a pretty horrific injury. Florida State will play Louisville in the ACC championship game. They got to play Florida first. Yeah. Number 5, Washington beat number 11 Oregon State 22-20. Michael Penix did not have a big statistical game. He was 13-28 for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he ran 3 times for 22 yards and a score, but he did convert a number of key third downs to keep them going. Big play in this ball game. First half was played in a lot of rain, and Oregon State snapped the ball through the punter's hands, or actually over his head, really, and through the back of the end zone. He kicked out of the back of the end zone. So that was 2. And then 2 drives later, they turn it over deep in their own territory. Washington gets a 20-yard drive and gets a touchdown. That was basically the difference in the ball game tonight. Number 6, Oregon, no problem with Arizona State, 49-13. Bo Nix threw for 404 yards and 6 touchdowns, all in the first half. Number 7, Texas beat Iowa State 26-16. Texas in the driver's seat for the Big 12 championship game. Big jumble up behind them. Number 8, Alabama, no problems with Chattanooga, 66-10. Jalen Milroe threw 3 touchdown passes before he had an early seat. Number 9, Missouri beat Florida 33-31. Missouri converted a 4th and 17 on the drive that set up the winning field goal. I'm blanking on the kid's name right now, but Harrison Mavis, okay, the thicker kicker.
Had his worst night against LSU, so we were good.
He did, and so this year he has hit game-winning field goals against Kansas State and Florida. The one against Kansas State was from 61 yards. Missouri now 9-2 on the season. Number 10, Louisville moves to 10-1. They beat Miami 38-31. You see the end of this game? Miami actually completed the Hail Mary. It was tipped right at the front of the end zone. The guy caught it at the 5-yard line, but they tackled him before he could get into the end zone. Well, it sort of got in the end zone and kind of got batted out. It was like maybe a half yard into the end. He got it there, but it got batted back, and the guy caught it, but he couldn't get into the end zone. Number 12, Penn State beat Rutgers 27-6. Number 13, Ole Miss beat UL Monroe 35-3. Jackson Dart threw 3 touchdown passes. This game was 7-3 at the half, but Ole Miss had put together 3 long drives. They missed a field goal, had a couple that they went over on downs. This wasn't really as close as
the score made me turn the game on, though.
Yeah, no, you look 7-3 at the half. It's like, oh, wait, is this close for a reason? And Ole Miss is kind of playing with their food a little bit today. Number 14, Oklahoma beat BYU 31-24. Number 16, Iowa beat Illinois 15-13. Yes, they missed an extra point. Yes, that cost them the cover. Yes, I'm not happy about it. Number 17, Arizona beat number 22, Utah 42-18. What a turnaround in the desert. Arizona was 1-11 2 years ago. What a job Jed Fish has done. They are 8-3, their first 5-game winning streak in a decade. Number 19, Notre Dame beat Wake Forest 45-7. 4 touchdowns for Sam Hartman. 4 touchdown passes for Sam Hartman. Clemson beat number 20, North Carolina 31-20. Cole Klubnik threw a touchdown pass in this one. Number 21, Kansas State beat number 25, Kansas 31-27. Pretty sure it was a third-string quarterback that went most of the way for KU today, and they were right in there, but Kansas State got them late. Number 23, Oklahoma State moves to 8-3. They beat Houston 43-30. Cowboys still alive for the Big 12 championship game, and they need a little bit of help. Number 24, Tulane gets their 10th win of the season. They beat Florida Atlantic 24-8. They're 7-0 in the American. There are 3 7-0 teams in the American: Tulane, UTSA, and SMU. Tulane and UTSA play on Friday, so we'll start it out for the American champions.
Mississippi State?
Boy, look, that'd be a terrific hire.
I've heard it a
That's
few times.
Good football coach. Army beat Coastal Carolina 28-21. Army's won 3 out of 4 since they left Baton Rouge. Michigan State beat Indiana 24-21. Mississippi State beat Southern Miss 41-20. Will Rogers back from Mississippi State. He threw a couple of touchdown passes today. Speaking of great coaching jobs, Northwestern beat Purdue today 23-15. And I always forget the guy's name. I got it written down here. David Braun got the job when Pat Fitzgerald got fired in the middle of July. And they said, okay, basically, you deal with this. Well, they had won 4 games total the last 2 years. They've won 5 this year. Going into today, they win 6. They're bowl eligible now. A first-year coach at Northwestern has not won 5 games since 120 years ago, since 1903. Okay? You want to know that guy's name? I got it written down somewhere. Nobody cares. A&M beat Abilene Christian 38-10. It was UConn over Sacred Heart 31-3. Navy shut out East Carolina 10-0. It was SMU over Memphis 38-34. So the Mustangs are 7-0 also in the American. Liberty goes to 11-0. They beat UMass 49-25. Jacksonville State ended La Tech season 56-17. Tough year up in Ruston. They finished 3-9. Middle Tennessee beat UTEP 34-30. It was Rice over Charlotte 28-7. Appalachian State spoils James Madison's game day. It was great atmosphere.
Yeah, great atmosphere.
Awesome show today. But Appalachian State gets them in overtime 26-23. Ball State beat Kent State 34-3. It was Wyoming over Hawaii 42-9. West Virginia beat Cincinnati 42-21. Neil Brown has saved his job and then some. They're 7-4. Virginia beats Duke 30-27. North Texas over Tulsa 35-28. UAB over Temple 34-24. Arkansas State over Texas State 77-31. 77-31. Wow. Colorado State beat Nevada 30-20. You can tell when I'm seeing some of these scores for the first time. It's 77 points. No kidding. Western Kentucky beat Sam Houston 28-23. UCLA beat USC today 38-20. USC ends the regular season at 7-5. Caleb Williams threw for 384 yards. You got to wonder
they
if
lost
this
5 of the last 6.
Yeah. So Lincoln Riley, a tough go in year number 2. You got to wonder if this saves Chip Kelly's job. They're 7-4. They got a game left with Cal. This is the big rivalry game, so they beat USC. Reports earlier this week out of Los Angeles had him out. We'll see if this buys him a little bit more time. NC State moves to 8-3. They beat Virginia Tech 35-28. It was TCU over Baylor 42-17. Troy beat UL Lafayette 31-24. It was UNLV over Air Force 31-27. Talk about great coaching jobs. Barry Odom done a fantastic job in his first year at UNLV. This was the shocker of the day, as much for the result as the margin. New Mexico State beat Auburn 31-10. They were a 25.5-point underdog. They were the second biggest underdog this year to win outright. And this is the largest margin of defeat for a double-digit favorite in something like 25 years.
I had to rewind it when it went across the screen. Like, wait, what'd that say?
31-10. Look, Jerry Kill's team is pretty good. This is their 9th win of the season, but you don't expect them to go into Jordan Hare, and especially since Auburn had won their last couple.
They've gotten better. They've been looking better each week, and I don't care what their record is. When you see New Mexico State versus Auburn, you expect
screw up my preseason prediction that they were going to go over the win total. I thought I had it. Texas Tech beat UCF 24-23. South Alabama shut out Marshall 28-0. Old Dominion beat Georgia Southern 20-17. It was Cal over Stanford in the final big game as a member of the Pac-12. 27-15 was the final there. Boise State beat Utah State 45-10. It was Arkansas over Florida International 44-20. South Carolina held on to beat Kentucky 17-14. Couple of touchdown passes for Shane Rattler. Wisconsin beat Nebraska 24-17. That was in overtime. Badgers get bowl eligible. Georgia Tech beat Syracuse 31-22. It was New Mexico over Fresno State 25-17. And San Jose State beat San Diego State 24-13. And that is your college football scoreboard. Game balls are next. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Scooncha fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes. But most of all, you'll find luxury that lets you feel infinitely you. Visit your local Infiniti retailer today.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Game balls. Presented by WCK Foundation Repair. Support your home team. WCK Foundation Repair.
Who will we pick? My goodness. I mean, come on.
Do we even have to do this anymore?
Yeah, we do. I want to. Right. Last week it was Daniels. All right, so it's Daniels, right? With 413 yards and 8 touchdowns, you kind of, or 500 plus yards combined. You got to give it to him, and you got to give Malik Neighbors I'm
going Kyron Lacy.
Kyron Lacy, okay. 5 catches, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
And I'm going with him because his first touchdown was the best route I've seen run in a long time.
Okay, you were trying to tell me that, and we got sidetracked. What?
The way he stemmed the guy outside with his steps made the guy look like he was running a corner route or an outside fade, and then he cut back inside. It was a bad throw by Jaden Daniels, why he fell down, because he was so wide open. I mean, when they went and showed the end zone cut of that, just an unbelievable route.
Okay, so Lacy and Daniels and Neighbors, and I want to give a game ball, an honorary game ball, to a guy who's a good friend of mine, and a lot of people will know who he is if you're an LSU fan. Super fan doesn't really do it justice. Our friend Mike Serio, who owns Serio's Po' Boys down in New Orleans, attended his 500th consecutive LSU game today. He has not missed a game in 500 games, home or away. Okay, now Mike lives in New Orleans. Okay, so he lived through Katrina.
Yeah,
had to find his way out. Everything got flooded, and then he had to find his way out to Arizona. Had to find his way into the stadium at Vanderbilt when COVID basically had emptied the stadium.
Made it out to Washington when we played Washington.
All of the trips he's made. Just he had to get through Katrina and COVID, okay, and just wouldn't miss a game for the Vanderbilt game at Nashville, and let anybody in the stadium.
My parents didn't make all my games.
Okay, well, Serio somehow managed to get a hotel room overlooking Vanderbilt Stadium where he could look out the window and watch. Okay, there's a picture of him overlooking Vanderbilt Stadium. Okay. The man has made 500 games in a row. Tip of the cap, my friend, and of course he makes a mean po' boy too. So Mike Serio, 500th game today. Had his whole family with him, wife, kids, grandkids, everybody. So I'm sure it was a great day. Mike, so just that salute.
Put him in the suites next week.
Man, look, yeah, right, exactly. Give him the best seat in the house. We'll come back and wrap things up here. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center.
98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day wrapping up here. LSU, a big winner tonight. Okay, this is the final week of the regular season. We'll have Live at Lunch on Monday. The Brian Kelly press conference is a part of that at 11:40. The final coaches show is this week. And next week we will start bright and early, 7 a.m. for Eagle 98.1 Game Day. We'll be in studio for pregame. We'll be at Rouse's for postgame. We'll be a little bit extended on the back end there. Final weekend of the regular season for college football. Final, once again, LSU wins it by a score of 56-14 from all of us here at the flagship. From Michael and Casey, for Richard Dixon, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good morning. Excuse me. Good. Thank you and good morning. I'm going to be back on the air in 8 hours. Thank you and good morning. Football Sunday from the Beau Rivage tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. This has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.